Have you ever been sexually assaulted in your life by people who were close to you? And instead of sympathizing with you, the public instead blames you for what happened to you just because your story is not convincing enough. Well, this is what happens to the main character of the movie, who despite being the victim, was shunned by everyone all her life. But this is not how her story ends, as she does the unthinkable and writes her own destiny.
Hey guys, this is V and you are watching Movies Hunter. So the movie I'm going to talk about in this video is a drama mystery thriller film released in 2022 called Luckiest Girl Alive. Trigger warning, there's going to be scenes that depict suicide, violence, and sexual assault, and it's going to be a really hard movie to talk about, but I'll try my best to be sensitive, so let's go. This movie is based on the novel of the same name written by Jessica Null back in 2015. So the timeline of the movie shifts between the character's past and present after every couple of minutes, and I know it gets quite complicated, so I'll reorder the events of the movie to help you understand what exactly happens. So the movie begins in the same year, which is 2015, and we are introduced to this 28-year-old woman. Her name is Tiffany, but we will call her Annie for short. So Annie is going to soon marry her boyfriend, Luke, in just a couple of weeks, so it's kind of exciting. I mean, she's getting married for the first time and trying not to get divorced instantly, so it must be exciting, right? I don't know. However, unlike other women, Annie doesn't see her marriage as holy or something she should be excited about. For her, it's more of like an official contract to bind her future husband to her. Yike, marriage is a trap, I'm telling you. Don't get married, just kidding. Anyway, as we go further into the movie, we get some hints that Annie has a troubled childhood, and because of which she often gets panic attacks every now and then. On the work front, Annie works as an editor for a giant magazine company, and she's basically living the life every girl dreams of. Well, in a third-person perspective, because again, she is struggling. But I mean, Annie does have a handsome salary, a loving boyfriend, she lives in New York and whatnot. And I can only imagine, just going out to get some New York pretzels and some hot chocolate and going on dates with your boyfriend in New York, trying not to get mugged. So Annie is a huge dreamer, and she doesn't want to stop now, as she dreams of working as the senior editor at the New York Times Magazine. Annie comes from a not-so-rich family, so she kind of knows what it means to be poor. But still, it's just so amazing what she has become, right? It's almost inspiring. Perhaps it will inspire you to subscribe. Just kidding, but please do. So anyway, a documentary director named Aaron wants to make a short film about the school shooting, in which Annie was a survivor. Aaron also adds that her former classmate Dean has agreed to take part, as he also wants to promote his upcoming book. Now Aaron tries to convince Annie that if she does this, she will become very popular, as a lot of people are interested in her side of the story. But Annie plainly refuses, as something from her past is still haunting her and she doesn't want to talk about it. However, the movie goes into a flashback, and I'm bringing y'all back in time to 1999. Anyway, here we meet Annie as a teenager who just got admitted to a prestigious school. She tried to make some new friends at the school, but it can be hard to find some good friends. I know I struggled with it. But Annie still managed to befriend a young Dean and his friends, Liam and Peyton. She also befriends Arthur, who is bullied by Dean and his boys all the time. So one evening, Annie skips a party at her school and goes to have fun with her newly found friends. She parties with her new friends and is even getting attracted to Liam as she finds him cute. As the night gets darker, we see that Annie, who was having fun just a couple of hours ago, is now being raped by her own friends, Peyton, Liam, and Dean, while she is intoxicated. But Annie somehow regains consciousness and runs all the way to a supermarket where she comes across her teacher, Andrew. When Annie tells him what happened to her, Andrew decides to bring her to his house and clean her up. He wants to call Annie's mother, but Annie refuses, as she doesn't want anyone else to find out. So Annie is just so confused with everything that she goes to school with Liam and his gang the next day and tries to pretend that nothing happened. However, Andrew knows that this isn't right and tells the headmaster everything. But since the headmaster first wants to inform Annie's mother about the rape charges, Annie changes her mind, as she doesn't want her mother to learn about the incident. Damn, no kid should feel like this. Anyway, because of Annie's U-turn, Andrew gets fired right away for reporting false information. Kinda sucks. Kinda sucks, right? Poor guy just wanted to do the right thing. Apart from Andrew, Annie has also told her friend Arthur about what happened to her. Now, Arthur wants Annie to stand up against Dean, Liam, and Peyton, because if she doesn't, they will keep bullying other kids as well. But Annie is afraid to do anything as she doesn't want her mother to find out what happened under any circumstances. Unfortunately, one day at school, Annie and the other students are attacked by two shooters, who are none other than Arthur and his friend Ben. Their only mission is to kill Dean, Liam, and Peyton for what they did to them. After they kill Peyton and Liam, Arthur offers Annie a chance to kill Dean herself. Although Annie desperately wants to get her revenge, she surprisingly stabs Arthur to death with a knife. Shortly afterwards, Ben shot himself to death as he was done with his life. After a couple of days, Annie and her mother show up for the funeral. But surprisingly, they are not allowed to enter because Dean, apparently, started a rumor that Annie slept with the three boys consensually. But since Dean refused to become Annie's boyfriend, Annie helped Arthur and Ben plan the shooting at their school. Because of this rumor, Annie was subsequently shunned by everyone, including her own mother, who assumed that Annie caused her own rape by drinking and partying too much. Oh my god. So anyway, now back in 2015, Annie prepares herself for the wedding. She is trying on her new wedding dress as she wants her wedding to be fantastic. Now, Liam now wants to move to London as his firm offered him an opportunity to move there. On top of that, the company is also offering an NFA program for Annie so that she can follow her passion for writing. But Annie isn't sure about this as she hopes of working at the New York Times as an editor one day. Later, Luke takes Annie to have dinner with a couple Luke knows, but surprise, surprise, the husband turns out to be Andrew, Annie's former teacher. He reveals that he is also taking part in the documentary as he wants to share his side of the story. Now that everyone is taking part in this documentary, Annie also bravely decides to take part and share her side of the story. Good for her. Anyway, she agrees to meet Aaron and finalize everything. However, Aaron tells Annie that Dean wants to meet her and apologize to her on camera for what he said about her. Annie agrees, but on the condition that Aaron will keep them separate during the shooting until she is ready. Now that Annie's past is catching up with her, it is starting to affect her relationship with poor Luke, and she gets angry over little things, and one day she even insults Luke's aunt just because she said that she admires Dean. After a couple of weeks, Annie finally returns to her school to shoot for the documentary. But Dean unexpectedly shows up there, causing Annie to panic, and she flees immediately. Aaron wants Annie to continue the interview and stand up for all the women who went through the same trauma. But it turns out then that even though Annie shows everyone that she is a bold and confident woman, deep down she is the same old Annie who is still a bit afraid to stand up to a rapist. I mean, I don't blame her. It's kind of hard to open up, but yeah, however, after a few minutes into the movie, Annie was just like, enough is enough, and she decides to face her demons and finally do something in her life that she wants and not what others want for her. So she goes to confront Dean at the publishing of his new book. Even though Dean shows a little remorse at first, fuck you, Dean, he then gets straight to the point and threatens Annie that if she keeps talking about what happened that night, he will simply deny it and instead will recap his story of her participation in the shooting at their school. Annie tells him that she will do as he says, but only if he admits that he raped her. Fuck you, Dean. So after a lot of hesitation, Dean admits that he did, but it turns out that Annie has secretly recorded their conversation. She didn't do it to expose Dean, but to get a proper closure for what happened to her. Annie even writes a piece for the New York Times to share her story with others. At the rehearsal dinner, Annie gets a call that her article has been approved and is going to be published soon. But when she tells Luke about it, he gets upset and says that he wishes she had dealt with it privately. He somehow doesn't want the whole world to know about Annie's tragic past in such detail. But despite this, he still wants to be with Annie and says that he loves her for who she is, apparently. Unfortunately, Annie says that even though she loves him, she has also been using him to hide from her past. So she has decided not to marry him and finally stand up for herself. Annie eventually moves on and starts working at the New York Times. She also gets overwhelming responses from all the women from around the world who tell her their stories of sexual assault and how she gave them hope to stand up against their attackers and be brave. Actually, one of that is actually kind of inspiring. And I think it's just very brave of her, and it's amazing that she gets to tell her story. Anyway, in the final scene of the movie, Annie is confronted by a fellow journalist who supports Dean and accuses Annie of using him for her 15 minutes of fame. So she walked up to the journalist and asked her name. But before she could answer that, Annie tells her, "I'll just remember you as the woman I told to go fuck herself on Fifth Avenue." Now that's how you shut down a bully. Anyway, or should I say anyway? Okay, that's a lame joke. But seriously, just like everyone else, Annie too could have just kept her mouth shut and let her trauma eat her up from the inside. But in the end, I'm very proud of her. It definitely takes a lot of courage to do what she just did. And I also kind of love the decision not to marry Luke, as right now she is just free to explore herself more and just do what she loves, writing. In a way, this is her freedom. And so this was the story of the luckiest girl alive. Please support us by telling us what you think and clicking that like button. See you in the next hunt.